It's only the first few days of 2025 and already the world feels like a powder keg ready to explode. Cyber warfare, truck attacks, and activated sleeper cell agents are making headlines, sparking chaos and fear across the US and the world. Let's not forget, large-scale global conflicts are already unfolding, and these coordinated events are directly tied to the sudden activation of sleeper cell agents in cities across the US in the past week. And if that wasn't enough, the entertainment industry is reeling from explosive revelations tied to Diddy, while the shocking death of a health insurance CEO blamed on a lone patsy raises even more questions. Add to the mix the strange drone orb and UAP sightings, dense toxic fog rolling into cities, and reports of elevated radiation levels where these phenomena are spotted, something sinister is brewing. And one thing is crystal clear, the official narrative isn't giving us the full story. Buckle up, folks. 2025 has arrived. The year the elite have marked for disclosure and massive depopulation. Before we dive in, join the People's Voice Locals community if you haven't already, and sign up to become a member of the world's first ever cyber nation that truly believes in life, liberty, and the pursuit of your dreams. Visit joson.com and click the Join Us button today. It's completely free. Make no mistake, a dystopian arc is unfolding right before our eyes. Is this the beginning of a real-life Hunger Games? The answer is yes, if the global elite have anything to do with it. The US is poised to suffer a devastating series of false flag terror attacks orchestrated and coordinated by the global elite, in conjunction with their allies, radical Islamic groups including ISIS and Al-Qaeda. These groups have been funded, trained and armed by the Obama and Biden administrations, kept on life support during the lean years of the Trump presidency, and now they've been marshaled to do their worst and unleash carnage on American streets in these critical times. This may sound extreme, but stick with us. We have all the evidence showing the White House's complicity. There are more than 1,000 known terrorists circulating in the US as we speak. And just like Osama bin Laden, they've all been dining on the CIA dime for decades. Let's recap. We've just witnessed 2 coordinated terror attacks on US soil in a single day. Yet, according to the White House, there were no terror attacks in the US this week. We really are living in the future Orwell warned us about. Let's face some hard truths. Facts the complicit Biden regime is doing everything it can to sweep under the rug. Both attackers rented electric vehicles from the same company, and both had ties to the same military base, Fort Bragg. Now, here's where it gets even more chilling. Fort Bragg is the very base Ryan Ruth visited over 100 times before his attempted assassination of Donald Trump. But according to the FBI, there's nothing to see here. Each of these men was just a lone wolf, acting entirely on their own with no clear motive. Let's face it, the official narrative has so many holes in it, you could drive a Tesla Cybertruck straight through it. Now they're saying the man who detonated the Cybertruck in front of the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas had a gunshot wound to the head, with a handgun conveniently found at his feet before the explosion. So let's ask the obvious questions. Why would he shoot himself before the explosion? Something that would ensure instant death anyway. How did he manage to detonate the explosion with precision if he was already dead? And why did no bystanders report hearing a gunshot before the blast? Certainly, in a busy area like that, someone would have heard it. Yet this detail is missing entirely from the official story. Even the released footage doesn't show or clarify these events. It's as if they expect us just to take the story at face value. And here's where it gets even stranger. Was this really a suicide? Or was it staged? It feels more like someone killed the man, dumped him in the Cybertruck, planted the pistol as a prop, programmed the vehicle to drive itself to the hotel, and then detonated it remotely or with a timer. The tinted windows? Perfect for concealing everything inside, and notably rare for a Cybertruck. And why was the truck parked so neatly in front of the lobby? If the goal was destruction, why not drive it into the building to ensure maximum casualties? None of this adds up. The more you dig, the more this reeks of a carefully orchestrated conspiracy. Military veterans who served in the Middle East have revealed that many suicide bombers weren't religious extremists, nor were they even affiliated with ISIS or Al-Qaeda. In many cases, they were ordinary people pulled from their homes and forced to wear suicide vests, with the threat of harm to their families hanging over them. Now, what if the same tactics are being used here? Former CIA targeting officer Sarah Adams says the global elite are now using radical Islam to destabilize the West. In a recent discussion on The Sean Ryan Show, Adams warned of a devastating attack planned by thousands of globalist trained and funded al-Qaeda terrorists on US soil.
I just want to clarify. You are 100% certain that there are 1,000 plus al-Qaeda trained fighters within the United States borders?
Well, al-Qaeda says they trained and deployed 1,000 for this attack. First off, I think there's more than 1,000 al-Qaeda members in the United States. But for the Homeland attack, that number is based on what al-Qaeda is saying, so they could exaggerate it. However, they did have about 1,400 in the Hamas attack, so the number is not off from what they did in the first round of attacks.
How old is this information?
I mean, it's ongoing. So the training's already done, right? So all the training info is now old because they trained all the Homeland attackers, if that makes sense. So like next week, you're not going to get info of a Homeland attacker probably at a terrorist camp because it's already done. So all this has been in the last year.
So it's been over a year. It's been a year.
Because this was a continuation, so they planned October 7th first, and then they rolled into planning this after.
Are we next, or is Europe next?
I think the embassy attacks are next, in my opinion.
What are they waiting for the embassies?
I don't think they're waiting. I think it took time to train them. They've now approved them, and they've now moved into the operational stage.
Obama was exposed as the architect of ISIS during his presidency by Tulsi Gabbard, who visited Syria to get real information on the ground about his crimes against America.
You said it's going to be up to the Syrian people, but there really aren't free and fair elections in Syria.
I'll tell you what I heard from the Syrian people that I met with, Jake, walking down the streets in Aleppo, in Damascus, hearing from them. They expressed happiness and joy at seeing an American walking through their streets, but they expressed a question. They said, why is it that the United States, its allies and other countries are providing support, are providing arms to terrorist groups like al-Nusra, al-Qaeda, Ahrar al-Sham, ISIS, who are on the ground there raping, kidnapping, torturing, and killing the Syrian people, children, men, women, people of all ages. They asked me, why is the United States and its allies supporting these terrorist groups who are destroying Syria when it was al-Qaeda who attacked the United States on 9/11, not Syria? I didn't have an answer for them.
Under the Biden regime, nothing has changed. The treasonous globalists in charge are funding and training al-Qaeda and ISIS to carry out a series of devastating homeland terror attacks with the express purpose of killing Americans, crippling the Trump presidency, and overturning the rule of law. We've got the proof, and it's crystal clear, black and white. Undeniable evidence coming your way right after this important message from our sponsor. Make no mistake, folks, heads must roll for this. Today's sponsor is PillsForever.com. If you think Big Pharma have your best interests at heart, think again. Under Biden, the price of medicine in America has skyrocketed, and there are certain medicines Big Pharma don't want you to know about. That's why I've partnered with PillsForever.com. All of their FDA-approved medicines are the cheapest you'll find anywhere. More importantly, you can order medicines that Big Pharma don't want you to have, such as ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and fenbendazole. Speaking of fenbendazole, not only does it get rid of parasites that live inside your body, there have been studies that show fenbendazole can help with cancer. Listen to this testimony of Joe Tippins, a cancer survivor, thanks to fenbendazole.
2 years ago, Joe Tippins says he was told to go home, call hospice, and say his goodbyes. The doctors were unanimous. He was going to die of small cell lung cancer.
Once that kind of cancer goes that far afield, the odds of survival are less than 1%, and the median life expectancy is 3 months.
Tippins says he got a tip, not from a pharmacist, but a veterinarian. And in his desperation, he turned from people medicine to dog medicine. Specifically, fenbendazole.
My insurance company spent $1.2 million on me with traditional means before I switched to a $5 a week medicine that actually saved me.
Get 15% off using coupon code People's Voice at the checkout. Please click the link below this video or call 256-664-4170 to take advantage of this fantastic offer. The coordinated terror attacks this week are a byproduct of what Obama and Clinton started building years ago, a well-funded, coordinated terror network flush with US taxpayer dollars and the latest weaponry. Isn't it astounding that they're not already in handcuffs at Guantanamo Bay? This is why you cannot take it seriously when they say, we'll put the full force of the US government towards investigating this attack. No, they won't. The investigation will never include evidence that Obama and Clinton began arming and funding Al-Qaeda and ISIS many years ago, and Biden has kept up this sick charade. An arms dealer told Fox News that Obama and Clinton strategically managed the funding and arms for Al-Qaeda and ISIS.
Who got these weapons? Was it Al-Qaeda? Was it Ansar al-Sharia? Was it ISIS in the end?
All of them.
Turry exchanged emails in 2011 with then U.S. envoy to the Libyan opposition, Chris Stevens. A day after the exchange about Turry's State Department application to sell weapons, Clinton wrote this email to aide Jake Sullivan. Quote, FYI, the idea of using private security experts to arm the opposition should be considered.
Do you believe these email exchanges are a coincidence or connected?
When you look at this timeline, none of it was a coincidence. It was all strategically managed. And it had to have come from her own internal circle.
Since first telling his story to Fox News, Turry says he's lost everything in his legal fight with the Justice Department.
Catherine, it's completely un-American.
In his first television interview since criminal charges were dropped against him, licensed arms dealer Mark Turry says the Obama administration, with the cooperation of Hillary Clinton's State Department, tried and failed to make him the fall guy for a 2011 covert weapons program to arm Libyan rebels that spun out of control.
I would say 100% I was victimized. To somehow discredit me, throw me under the bus, do whatever it took to protect their next presidential candidate.
5 years into the investigation, Turry says the Justice Department dropped the case to avoid public disclosure of the weapons program that was designed to force the ouster of Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi.
Those transcripts from current as well as former CIA officers were classified. If any of these relationships would have been revealed, it would have opened up a can of worms.
In 2011, the administration wanted to arm the Libyan rebels, but UN sanctions blocked a direct sale. Working with the U.S. government in Capitol Hill, Turry says he came up with a solution. Turry's plan was to have the U.S. government supply conventional weapons to the Gulf nations Qatar and UAE, who would then in turn supply them to Libya. Turry says he was cut out of the plan, and Clinton's State Department used its own people with weapons flowing to Libya and Syria.
The Biden regime has continued the work of Obama and Clinton, propping up terrorists and funneling cash and arms via back channels to assist with training and operations. Sarah Adams warns there are 1,000 or more terrorists already here in the US, welcomed with open arms by the Biden administration.
It's really interesting. The video got taken down right away, and then I think most people in the U.S. didn't even see it. So TSA completely ignored putting out the actual piece of the video that mattered. And so the big piece of the video was teaching terrorists how to make a bomb that goes through a magnetometer. So, like most airports in the world, you don't have that weird hand scan thing. You just go through a random metal detector. So this bomb basically goes through the metal detector, okay? So they were showing it off then. Well, now Al-Qaeda's advanced and it's in a suicide vest. But the interesting part is it doesn't just go supposedly through the metal detector. They made it with components dogs aren't trained on to sniff. So if you say, okay, well, we'll up our security and put more dogs, Al-Qaeda's saying, well, we've defeated that too. And this is the type of vest they plan to use potentially in their homeland attack that's coming up. So it's very concerning because we aren't prepared for that. I mean, most of the buildings you go into, even if they have some sort of thing, it already defeats that.
I mean, I don't think we're prepared for anything that's coming.
Right, we're not.
I mean, do we have any preparations at all? I mean, from what I've seen, we have no preparations. We're going to get into more about the funding of Taliban. I mean, we're funding our own demise here. I mean, have you seen any positives? Is anybody doing anything?
No, and actually, Al-Qaeda makes a joke out of the fact that they move the money we give to the Taliban to the camps that train the homeland attackers, right? So it's almost like an insider joke, like, yes, we are forcing America to fund their own attacks. So that is the plan too, that the money will go back to us and our government. And then that makes Americans also look at our government like it's an inside job. You knew it, right? And so Al-Qaeda is going to play that game, which is really interesting. Al-Qaeda found the Building 7 conspiracy stuff fascinating.
According to high-level intel, Al-Qaeda terrorists are planning to destroy symbolic monuments and target locations of national importance, while ISIS terrorists have been trained to recreate the deadly Mumbai attack from 2008, where radical Islamists swarmed the city and were granted operational flexibility to massacre as many innocent people as possible.
It's based on the Mumbai attacks that occurred 15 years ago.
What happened there? Before we dig into that.
It was basically a terrorist group, Lashkar-e-Taiba. They did a number, it's called swarming attacks. They did a number of attacks in New Delhi, at a hotel, the Taj Mahal, I believe it was called, at like basically the train station, etc. The interesting thing about it, and this is why they're going to employ it now, is those terrorists were given kind of like latitude. One, they could change the location they were attacking, and they could change the modus operandi they were using. So for example, when they went into the train station, it was supposed to be a bombing. When they got in there, they said, wow, we can kill more people just shooting them than putting the bomb together, and they shot them. Another thing that they did is in real time, information was being passed to them. So when they were in the Taj Mahal, they were being told what was on the press and what the police were doing, and they changed basically some of their movements in the hotel.
How many people, how many fighters do you think we can expect in each attack?
Well, the 1,000 is all of them. So we're calling it, it's an Al-Qaeda planned attack, but within those 1,000 terrorists, some of them are ISIS because they want ISIS to be blamed. I think the more of the fighter types are going to be ISIS because then if they're caught, then they talk, I'm ISIS. I think more of the suicide bombers are going to be Al-Qaeda.
You think these attacks will happen simultaneously throughout the United States, or will they be one day here, next day here, another one over here next week?
So they want them coordinated. I don't know if coordinated means all at the same time, or if coordinated means we do it Monday, we do it Tuesday, we do it Wednesday, we do it Thursday, we do it Friday, just do 5 straight days. So, but they want it coordinated.
What kind of places do you think they're going to target?
So this is what's complicated. So Al-Qaeda's preference, as you can imagine, is symbols of the U.S. or anything that causes economic damage, right? So Capitol is a great symbol. I feel like bridges or any kind of public transportation always matters because it puts costs against us and it causes fear. But here's where it gets complicated. So remember, the terrorists might have their goal is they're going to attack the metro in DC, right? But remember, some of these terrorists are going to be ISIS. And remember, they can change location. So the ISIS guy might go down the metro and say, there's not many people down here. I'll kill 20, but there's a event going on. I'm going to go up there, right? And because ISIS is a little different. ISIS just wants mass casualty. In my opinion, terrorists in general just leaving Afghanistan, a lot of them are coming up through the Darien Gap to the border.
The plan has been set in motion, and we're now watching the chilling results of their efforts unfold right before our eyes. If you're wondering why the global elite are getting into bed with terrorists, you need to look no further than Albert Pike's 3 World Wars prediction. Pike was a top Illuminati Grand Wizard, a notorious Luciferian, and a general for the Confederacy in the American Civil War. In the 1880s, he openly stated that Islam will be the central component to World War III, and that the Illuminati will lead Islam into direct confrontation with the West.
Immerse yourself in the enigmatic predictions of Albert Pike, a figure shrouded in mystery and intrigue. According to his prophecy, the world would witness 3 devastating wars. The first, an orchestrated move by the Illuminati to topple the Tsar of Russia, a chess-like maneuver setting the stage for the world's first global conflict. Then the Second World War, a battle in which the political Zionists from the West would seek to obliterate Nazism, a struggle of ideologies, where the world bore witness to humanity's darkest hours. Now, brace for a chilling prophecy of a third war, a battle where political Zionists and the Islamic world annihilate each other, Other nations, ensnared and divided, fight to the point of physical, moral, spiritual and economic exhaustion. A war that would leave the world in ashes. Pike's prophecies, a chilling testament to the potential future of our world. A reminder to strive for peace, to avoid the path of destruction.
We've already seen what the New World Order has done with Islam. They have used it to foment a crisis, a clash of civilizations. Make no mistake, the Illuminati is using Islam to achieve its goals, including the destruction of the West. Don't underestimate the power of the global elite to spark World War III through a false flag. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is on the record saying that sometimes a false flag is needed to force a nation into war. They've done it before, and if we fall for their deception, they'll do it again. Here at The People's Voice, we're determined to continue exposing the elite, but we need your help. Subscribe to the channel on Rumble and join the People's Voice Locals community to join our amazing team and gain access to exclusive and uncensored content. I hope to see you there. Today's video is brought to you by IPv6ers. Are you a content creator who wants to publish information online without Big Brother spying and censoring your every move? IPv6ers is set to revolutionize the way information is disseminated on the internet by eliminating the need for big tech companies to provide unreliable, overpriced services such as self-hosting, email, and data management. IPv6ers enables an easy and accessible way for you to host your own web and email server with direct end-to-end connections and enhanced security. This means no snooping from Big Brother and no interference from the technocratic elite. If Hillary Clinton can get away with running her own server, why shouldn't you? Go to thepeoplesvoice.tv/IPv6 to sign up, or click the link below this video to take back control of the internet and win the info wars against the globalists. If you like our content, help support our sponsor IPv6ers and go to thepeoplesvoice.tv/IPv6 today. Thank you IPv6ers for making this video possible.